And so maybe you noticed in there, but one of them is Rameshwaram. This is very important to our movement because this is, the temple that was calling out to Maharshi when he was, living as a recluse in the Himalayas. And this idea of Rameshwaram kept coming to him, and so he finally decided he needed to go and to go there. And so this is one of the Jyotir Lingas. It's a very special one. Okay, and so, yes, so next we have a very special thing. We have Pat Hardigree, who is a longtime governor. He's been on IA from the beginning of the program in 2007. He has an MA and SCI, and he's been studying the Shiva Purana for 40 years. And he's taught at Maharshi School for 13 years. And he's expressed a desire that, this is the Shiva Purana, this text that he's been studying for so long, which is about the Shiva and the Jyotirlinga. He wants to read, he's agreed to read the stories, one of the stories for us. One of the 12 stories, one for each of the 12 Jyotirlings. So I'd like, if we would all give a warm welcome to Pat Hardigree.
Thank you, Sai. Let me get this computer out of the way if we could, please. Okay, thank you. It's really nice to look out and see everybody. What I would like to do first is I'd like to thank Dr. Freund for inviting me to come and give this Shiva Purana reading on the origin of one of the 12 Jyotirlinga sites in India. Before I begin this reading, I would like to give you a brief background of how I was asked to give this presentation. I have been reading, as I said, the Shiva Puranas daily for the last 40 years, since I was introduced to them at the Governor Training Course in Arosa, Switzerland in 1977. As you might know, the word Purana means ancient and eternal. The Shiva Puranas are ancient and eternal texts that enumerate the qualities of Lord Shiva. Often these enumerations are given out in story form by describing how Lord Shiva helps his devotees overcome some obstacle they may be facing in their personal life. In the story I will read, the Lord Shiva helps a certain king who is a devotee of Lord Shiva, how he helps him overcome the obstacle of several opposing armies attempting to overthrow his city with the intent to destroy him. I have always wanted to share these inspiring Jyotirlinga stories with others. About a week ago, I approached Dr. Freund and explained to him I would like to read one of these stories to the group of students that live in the same building he lives in front of the men's dome. I knew they had knowledge meetings on some evenings, and I asked him if possibly I could come and read one of these stories to some evening. A few days later, he emailed me and invited me to come and read one of these Jyotirlinga origin chapters at the full moon celebration. I was and am honored and extremely elated at the opportunity to do this. This reading will take approximately 12 minutes. I hope you enjoy it. If by some chance you become a little restless during this reading and decide to throw something at me, please miss. Again, this story is about a king who is a devotee of Lord Shiva and how Lord Shiva concocts a plan to save the king from the armies that have surrounded his city with the intent to destroy him. This is chapter 17 of Shiva Purana, volume 3. It's entitled, The Greatness of Jyotirlinga Mahakala. The sages said, O most excellent one, please mention again the greatness of the Jyotirlinga Mahakala, the protector of his devotees. Sutta said, O Brahmins, listen with interest to the devotion-enhancing greatness of Mahakala, the protector of the devotees. In Ujjayini, there was a king, Chandrasena, a devotee of Shiva, who had conquered his sense organs and who knew the principles of all sastras. O Brahmins, the Gana Manihadra, honored by the people, the chief of the Ganas of Shiva, was a friend to the king. Once the liberal-minded Gana chief Manihadra gave him the crest jewel Sintamani out of pleasure. The jewel was as brilliant as the sun. It shone like Kustabu. It blessed auspiciously when meditated upon, heard of, or cited. Anything made of bell metal, copper, tin, or stone, touched by its brilliant surface, turned into gold. Wearing that gem around his neck, the king Chandrasena, dependent on Shiva, shone well like the sun in the midst of gods. On hearing that the excellent king Chandrasena had the Sintamani round his neck, the kings of the earth were agitated in their hearts due to greed. The kings, ignorantly trying to rival with him, begged of Chandrasena that jewel secured from the god. They used various means to get the jewel. O Brahmins, the importunity of the kings was rendered futile by Chandrasena, a staunch devotee of Shiva. Disappointed and offended thus by the kings, disappointed and offended thus by him, the kings of all the lands became wrathful against him. Then the kings, fully equipped with the 4 types of armies, attempted to conquer Chandrasena in the battle. They joined together, consulted, and conspired with one another. With a vast army, they laid siege to the main 4 gates of Ujjayini. On seeing his city attacked by the kings, the king Chandrasena sought refuge in Mahakaleshvara. Without doubts and hesitations, without taking any food, that king of steady resolve worshiped Mahakala day and night without turning his mind to anything else. Then the Lord, delighted in his mind, concocted a means in order to save him. Listen to that with attention. O Brahmins, at that very time, a certain cowherdress, roaming here and there in that excellent city, accompanied by her child, came near Mahakala. She had lost her husband. She carried her babe 5 years old. With great devotion, she watched the Mahakala worship performed by the monarch. After witnessing the wonderful Shiva worship performed by him and bowing down, she returned to her camp. The son of that cowherdress, who had watched everything out of curiosity, thought of performing Shiva's worship similarly. He bought a fine pebble from somewhere and considered it his Shiva Linga. He placed it in a vacant place, not far from his camp. Various articles were conceived by him as sweet scents, ornaments, cloth, incense, lamp, rice, grains, and food grains in the course of his worship. Worshipping again and again with delightful leaves and flowers, he danced in various ways and made obeisance again and again. As his mind was engrossed in the worship of Shiva, the cowherdess, his mother, called him to take his meals. When the son, engrossed in the worship, did not like to take meals, though called many times, the mother went there. On seeing him seated in front of Shiva with eyes closed, she angrily caught hold of his hand, dragged him, and beat him. When the sun did not come away even after being dragged and struck, she threw the image far off and spoiled his worship. Rebuking her son, who was lamenting piteously, the infuriated cowherdess entered her house again. On seeing his worship spoiled by his mother, the boy fell down and lamented, "O Lord, O Lord." In his excessive grief, he became unconscious suddenly. Regaining consciousness after a while, he opened his eyes. Immediately, the camp became a beautiful Mahakala, became a beautiful temple of Mahakala. Thanks to the blessing of Shiva, the child saw all these. The doorway was made of gold. There were excellent festoons on the doorstep. The temple had a shining dais set with costly and blue, pure diamonds. The temple was equipped with many golden pot-like domes, shining, jewel-bedecked columns, and the floor paved with crystal bricks. In the midst, the cowherd's son saw a jewel-bedecked linga of Shiva, the storehouse of mercy, along with articles he used for worshiping. On seeing these, the boy was much surprised in his mind. He got up immediately. It seemed as if he was immersed in the ocean of great bliss. He eulogized and bowed to Shiva again and again. When the sun set, the boy came out of the Shiva temple. Then he saw his own camp, as beautiful as the city of Indra. It had been suddenly transformed into one of gold, of variegated nature and shining much. He entered the house equipped with everything brilliant and glittering in the night. Jewels and gold pieces were scattered everywhere. He was joyous. There he saw his mother sleeping. She was like a celestial lady with all divine characteristics. Her limbs shone and glittered with ornamental jewelry. O Brahmins, then that sun, the special object of Shiva's blessing, excited due to happiness, awakened his mother immediately. Getting up and seeing everything unprecedentedly wonderful, she was as if immersed in great bliss. She embraced her son. Hearing everything of the benign favor of the Lord of Parvati from her son, she sent word of it to the monarch who was worshiping Shiva constantly. The king, who had concluded the observance of rites during the night, came there immediately and saw the refulgence of the cowherd's son in propitiating Shiva. On seeing everything in the company of his ministers and chief priests, the king was immersed in the ocean of great bliss and emboldened. Shedding tears of love and repeating the names of Shiva with pleasure, the king Chandrasena embraced the boy. O Brahmins, there was a great and wonderful jubilation. Excited with happiness, they sang the glorious songs of Lord Shiva. On account of this wonderful event, the manifestation of the greatness of Shiva, and the flutter in the midst of the citizens, the night elapsed as though it was only a moment. The kings who had besieged the city for an attack heard of this event in the morning through their spies. Extremely surprised on hearing it, the kings who had come there met together and consulted one another. The kings said, "This king Chandrasena is a devotee of Shiva, and hence invincible. The king of Ujjayini, the city of Mahakala, is never distressed. The king Chandrasena is a great devotee of Shiva, inasmuch as even children in his city observe Shiva's rites. Certainly Shiva will be furious if we offend him. We will be doomed if Shiva is furious. Hence we shall make an alliance with him. In that case, Lord Shiva will be compassionate to us." Sutta said, Thus deciding, the kings abandoned their enmity. They regained purity of mind. They were pleased. They abandoned their weapons and missiles. Permitted and encouraged by Chandraseni, they entered Ujjayini, the beautiful city of Mahakala, and worshipped him. Then they went to the house of the cowherdress. They praised her good fortune with divine blessings. They were welcomed and honored by Chandraseni there. Seated on a very worthy seat, they congratulated him and were surprised. Seeing the shrine of Shiva and the Shiva Linga that rose up, thanks to the power of the son of the cowherdress, they fixed their mind on Shiva. The delighted sages sought the sympathy of Shiva and presented several valuable things to the cowherd boy. The kings made him the chieftain of cowherds in all their different lands. In the meantime, Hartmann, the brilliant lord of monkeys, worshipped by the gods, manifested himself there. The kings were bewildered at his arrival. They rose up in reverence and made obeisance to him, perfectly humble in their devotion. Worshipped by them and seated in their midst, the Lord of Monkeys embraced the cowherd boy and glanced at the kings and said, Hartmann said, Well unto ye all, O kings, and all the souls here. Listen. Except Shiva, there is no other goal to human beings. This cowherd boy fortunately saw the worship of Shiva. Without the use of mantras, he worshiped Shiva and attained happiness. This boy, the most excellent devotee of Shiva, the enhancer of the glory of cowherds, shall enjoy all pleasures here and attain salvation hereafter. In his race, in the 8th generation, there will be a famous cowherd, Nanda. Vishnu himself will be born as his son, Krishna. Henceforth, this cowherd boy will attain all glory over the world in the name Srikara. Sutta said, After saying this, the son of Anjana, the lord of monkeys in the form of Shiva, mercifully glanced at the kings and Chandrasena. He then initiated the excellent cowherd child Srikara with pleasure in the rites of Shiva, pleasing to the Lord. O Brahmins, even as all of them were glancing at the Chandrasena and Srikara, the delighted Hartmann vanished there itself. The delighted kings who were duly honored took leave of Chandrasena and returned the way they had come. The brilliant Srikara, initiated by Hartmann, propitiated Shiva with Brahmins well-versed in sacred rites. The king Chandrasena and Srikara, the cowherd boy, worshipped Mahakala with great devotion and pleasure. In due course, Srikara and Chandrasena, propitiating Mahakala, attained the great region of Lord Shiva. Such is the phallic form Sri Mahakala, the goal of the good, the slayer of the wicked, in every respect, who is favorably disposed towards his devotees. Thus, the great secret, the sanctifying narrative that bestows all happiness, conducive to heaven, and enhancing devotion to Shiva, has been narrated to you, Jai Gurudev.
Next, we have a brief song, I guess you call it. It's called Lingashtakam, and you'll be able to follow it along on the screen.
अथ लिङ्गाष्टकम् ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गं निर्मलभासितशोभितलिङ्गं जन्मजदुःखविनाशकलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं देवमुनिप्रवरार्चितलिङ्गं कामदहं करुणाकरलिङ्गं रावणदर्पविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं सर्वसुगन्धिसुलेपितलिङ्गं बुद्धिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गं सिद्धसुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गं फणिपतिवेष्टितशोभितलिङ्गं दक्षसुयज्ञविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं कुङ्कुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गं पङ्कजहारसुशोभितलिङ्गं सञ्चितपापविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं देवगणार्चितसेवितलिङ्गं भावैर्भक्तिभिरेव च लिङ्गं दिनकरकोटिप्रभाकरलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं अष्टदलोपरिवेष्टितलिङ्गं सर्वसमुद्भवकारणलिङ्गं अष्टदरिद्रविनाशितलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं सुरगुरुसुरवरपूजितलिङ्गं सुरवनपुष्पसदार्चितलिङ्गं परात्परं परमात्मकलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं लिङ्गाष्टकमिदं पुण्यं यः पठेत् शिवसन्निधौ शिवलोकमवाप्नोति शिवेन सह मोदते
A counterpoint or a commentary of the song and of this wonderful story that we heard of the events in some past age in, was the name Ujjayinyam? Is this quote that Maharshi refers to frequently, Shivam Shantam Advaitam Chaturtam Manyante Sa Atma Savigneya. So Shiva is the peaceful, the blissful, the undivided. He is thought to be the fourth state of consciousness, transcendental consciousness. That is the self. He is the self. That is to be known. So Shiva, all these stories and all this paraphernalia, it's all talking about the self, the experience of the self, what we already know through transcendental meditation. So it's a very colorful and very delightful way of speaking about our daily morning and evening experience of transcending and experiencing pure consciousness. That's put to life, put to expression in the Puranas, made colorfully visible in the Puranas through this name, Shiva. But Shiva, it's just talking about the transcendent. It's all about the stories of the transcendent. That is the self. That is to be known. Vasishtha is a great sage of the holy tradition of Vedic masters, and he has written an Upapurana. Upapurana is a subsidiary group of Puranas that were not written by Vyas. The 18 main Puranas were written by Vyas. Other Puranas are called Upapuranas when they're written by others. Vasishtha wrote this Vasishtha Laingyam, and it's very relevant to this discourse because what happens in this Vasishtha Laingyam is that Vasishtha meets this column of light, this Jyotir Lingam, this column of light that's infinite in both directions, and he immediately recognizes that he's come into the presence of Shiva, and he propitiates him and takes his opportunity to ask questions, because what Vasishtha wants as a boon for being blessed with the presence and the sight, the darshan of Shiva in this way, he wants knowledge. And so he lists all the things that he hasn't been able to figure out for himself. And then the entire Upapurana is about the answers that he receives to all these questions. So it's a very, very darling sort of Upapurana. And one of his questions was about what are the best holy places that one can visit. And so I'm going to read a section from the chapter where he talks about these holy places. There is a holy place with a Shiva Lingam installed in the middle section of Ram's bridge on the Gandhamadana mountain, O best of sages. Long ago, Lord Vishnu, the ruler of the universe, incarnated on earth as Rama, the son of King Dasharatha. In that long ago age, Rama killed Ravana, the ruler of the Rakshasas, for the benefit of the whole world. By accomplishing his goal of ridding the earth of the evil influence of the Rakshasas, he reestablished the eternal order of natural law and became the ruler of the whole world. The place that celebrates the victory of total natural law is fittingly called Rameshvara, the place where Lord Ram became the supreme ruler of the universe. Here, Brahman was made manifest on the stage of life. The name Ram is synonymous with Brahman. Bathing in the ocean repeatedly here in the vicinity of the Gandhamadana mountain, that means surrendering one's heart and mind in worship and adoration of the Supreme Lord, Ram, the ruler of the universe, always holding Ram dear in one's heart, delighting in Ram and only in Ram, one becomes purified of all sin, just as the whole world was freed from darkness when Rama killed Ravana. It brings infinite joy and happiness to the knowers of reality to be here in this place where Lord Ram is cherished as Brahman, as the totality of one's own self, made visible on the stage of life as a living embodiment of all values of Devata, together with all values of Rishi and all values of Chandas. This epic story of Rama, told in the Ramayana, creates the effect in the consciousness of the listener of individual man rising to be the master of total natural law, the ruler of the universe, where the self enjoys the spontaneous fulfillment of all desires and is established in a state of perfect balance, eternal tranquility. When consciousness is perfectly pure, unsullied by stresses or attachments of any kind, then the mind and the body are perfectly integrated. Because of both sides being infinite, the entire world of multiplicity is as if swallowed up in the fullness of the eternal light of the self. And when the mind gets completely lost in relative boundaries and loses its infinite status, like the sun being eaten up in eclipse by Rahu and Ketu, then the wholeness of life is as if broken into pieces. A man being immersed in this story of the Ramayana and having seen how Lord Rama overcame all adversity and became the ruler of the whole world, himself conquers all anger, gains eternal victory over the excitations and attachments and diversions of the mind, which break the wholeness into pieces. Brahmins who abstain from food and listen with rapt attention to the story of the Ramayana gain strength and vitality as if they had eaten. Listening to the story of the Ramayana bestows whatever one is striving for, whether spiritual advancement or material wealth, whether position and prestige or simplicity and purity of life. Being freed from all sins, one attains the companionship of Lord Shiva. O sage, all these benefits accrue to accomplished sages and to the gods who hear the story of the Ramayana, O best among men. It is applicable to everyone. The whole world population is capable of attaining the vision of the holy shrine of Maheshwaram and the full enlightenment of Brahman consciousness that it symbolizes by means of the knowledge of the Ramayana alone. It follows that the unmanifest transcendental being is the great holy place of pilgrimage, and that is universal available at all times and places, O great sage. The killer of cows and even those who violate natural law in every way, completely oblivious of the consequences of their actions, as also the destroyer of embryos and the killer of mothers, the alcoholic and the addict, one who offends or injures the teacher, and one who reviles the Vedas. The experience of the transcendental being raises any human being to the enjoyment of his full, infinite potential. Whatever is in the environment of limitations and boundaries in which an individual lives, all those limitations are brought to nil in the experience of the unmanifest, transcendental being. Only in this way, in the experience of unbounded awareness, is it possible to rise above sin. Directly experiencing the pure, infinite silence of transcendental consciousness, the peace of Lord Shiva, the individual, being purified and relieved of his stresses, is liberated from the binding influence of all the sins committed in the past. Lakshman was the younger brother of Rama in the story of the Ramayana, who served Ram with unswerving loyalty, love, and commitment. His life story similarly helps to give shape, helps to make tangible in terms of specific attributes and characteristics the abstract, attributeless absolute that becomes a living reality in higher states of consciousness. The story of the infinite fullness of life told in the Ramayana is also embodied here in the vicinity of Rameshwaram in a shrine dedicated to Lakshman. O best among the knowers of the Veda, there is an ancient Shiva Lingam consecrated here called Lakshmaneshwaram. The lingam was made by Lakshman at the place where Ram first bathed after killing Ravan. So it is called the place where infinity, Brahman, was as if captured in a pot by Lakshman. By merely shaving the head at that holy place, one is blessed with the knowledge of the infinite organizing power of total natural law. The unbounded infinite self is completely set free in the state of cosmic consciousness, and by purifying the senses with ever-increasing waves of love on the path of devotion, one attains God consciousness. The deep devotion of Lakshman for Lord Ram, the ruler of the universe, is a perfect example of that fullness of devotion that raises the individual in cosmic consciousness to God consciousness. When every impulse of speech is a prayer extolling the glory of God, and every action is undertaken in surrender to the light of God, then the ruler of the universe becomes visible to the aspirant just as tangibly as Lord Ram was seen by Lakshman. As the heart grows more and more in love for God as the absolute, the infinite unbounded self begins to, as if, melt and flows more and more with tidal waves of offering and devotion. The individual lives and moves about in the city of God, in the state of God consciousness. In the story of the Ramayana, not only Lakshman, but also Sugriva, the king of the monkeys, and Angada, the illustrious son of Bali, and the eternal Hanuman, the son of the wind, have become famous in their own right through their exemplary service and unswerving devotion to Lord Ram, the ruler of the universe. By virtue of their refined quality of perception, Rama, the descendant of the Raghus, was worshipped by these great heroes as Ishana, the ruler of the universe. O sage, know that the secret behind the extraordinary exploits of these great heroes of the Ramayana is their attainment of that extremely precious and refined level of consciousness in which the glory of God is directly perceived on the sensory level. Life established in that state of consciousness, called God consciousness, brings fulfillment to every goal and aspiration whatsoever in creation. Somanata, now we're back to another of the Jyotirlingas. Somanata is an important temple located in Gujarat, the first of the Jyotirlingas. Known as the Shrine Eternal, a lingam representing Shiva's quality of being Lord of the Soma is established there. Having seen the eternal shrine of the Lord of the Soma, one is not born again as a creature on earth, O sage of excellent vows. Know that shrine to be the most dear to me of all the 12 Jyotirlingas, bestowing the fulfillment of all desires. Kedaram is an important temple in the Himalayas, another one of these Jyotirlingas, where a triangular-shaped lingam representing the Kedareshwara quality of Shiva is established. Through seeing the lingam, one attains eternal liberation from the cycle of rebirth, O sage of excellent vows. Offering worship to Lord Shiva on the banks of the Ganges at Kedarnath, one enters the infinite ocean of fulfillment, the ultimate realization of the goal of all actions. Know that shrine to be most dear to me. This holy place bestows the fulfillment of all desires. Bhimeshwaram is a great holy place, the most central of the 12 Tirthas and 5 great lingas in the great Daksharam temple complex in the Godavari Delta. The central Bhimeshwara lingam is itself 2 stories high and celebrates the simultaneously fierce and peaceful nature of Shiva at the site where the sacrifice of Daksha was destroyed by Lord Shiva. There is a great path of pilgrimage, visiting in succession all the 108 Shiva Linga shrines in the Godavari Delta, culminating in the worship of the one, supreme, self-sufficient Bhimeshwara, which bestows the supreme awakening. O sage, having seen the Bhimeshwara lingam as the culmination of the path of pilgrimage through all the holy shrines in the region, a man is liberated from all sins. Know that path of pilgrimage through all the successive shrines on the banks of the Godavari River to be the most precious path to my supreme reality, Brahman consciousness, recognized by the best among the knowers of Vedanta to be the same sequence of experiences chronicled by Vyasa in the Brahma Sutra. There are many other great holy places, full of wonder and marvelous to behold, O great sage. But among all of these amazing attractions, this one holy place stands out as the best, the most extraordinary, the most entrancing, the most fulfilling. Right here, deep within the mind, at the source of thought, in the silent inner sanctum of every human being, is that one place where eternal salvation is made tangible to the senses for all men who honor the Lord of the Tirtha by regular daily practice of devotions right here. Wherever any human being is, anywhere in the world, is that one place, where the unbounded self becomes established in the awareness as an all-time reality. This is the best and most extraordinary tirtha, holy place of all. Many people attain to me in this holy place, attaining complete fulfillment in eternal bliss consciousness, O most pure of all sages. All of them are liberated souls who have quite naturally and effortlessly attained freedom from the bondage of the stream of repeated rebirth in the field of mundane existence, samsara, O sage of excellent vows. Even a king, a protector and guardian of the social order, deeply enmeshed in worldly life, attains liberation by worshiping me in this holy place, by allowing the excitations of the mind to effortlessly settle down and become still. The one ruler of all the worlds realized that world of transcendental being that belongs to me. The sun, the light of all the worlds, offering worship to me and honoring me in this great holy place, enjoyed the attainment of the non-changing state of eternal being, along with the sovereignty of all the worlds. The moon, surrendering completely in worship to me, attained the state of perfect order and eternal peace, and thus through my power became the embodiment of the supreme celestial radiance on the highest level of creation, so dear to the hearts of all human beings. What is special about this place, O bull among sages, is the process of transcending through the sense of hearing, using specific sounds or mantras. What is described as performing ablutions in the Suvarnamukari river is the time-honored ancient path of transcending through the practice of transcendental meditation. The effortless flow of the mind to the transcendental being, the mind spontaneously seeking out its own least excited state, like a river flowing to the ocean. What is described as circumambulating the Lord of Sri Kalahasti 3 times is coming to me through the process of repeated dives into the inner being until all the 3 states of consciousness are made pure and unbounded awareness is maintained at all times. Transcending, one attains everything. Transcending, negating all of relativity until one is awake in the Absolute, is what is special about this place. That action of transcending through the process of transcendental meditation is to be performed by everyone in the world, wherever they may be. The seeker of wisdom attains wisdom. The seeker of liberation attains eternal liberation. One who desires sons attains sons. One who desires daughters succeeds in attaining daughters. Those who desire to be free from disease become free from disease. Those who desire victory attain victory. One who desires others to conform to his will attains that. The seeker of wealth attains wealth. The murderer of a Brahmin, the alcoholic, and similarly the perpetrators of all other kinds of sinful action can be freed from all sin just by taking recourse to this transcendental being daily. As all the gods well know, you should also know, this holy place is extremely precious to me. Therefore, you should consider yourself highly fortunate and highly blessed that you also are able to propitiate me and come to me by offering your whole heart and mind to me here in this holy place. Thus ends the 3rd chapter in the illustrious Vasishtha Laingyam Upapurana, teaching the enormous benefit and true inner significance of holy places. And now we're going to recite together the Dvadashajyotirlingastotram. Here's the first line. Saurashtre somanatancha. Together. Saurashtre Somanatancha. One more time. Saurashtre Somanatancha. Shri Shaile Mallikarjunam. Shri Shaile Mallikarjunam. Yeah. Shri Shaile Mallikarjunam. Ujjayinyam Mahakalam. Ujjayinyam Mahakalam. Ujjayinyam Mahakalam. Omkaramammaleshwaram. 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 Paralyam Vaidyanathancha. Paralyam Vaidyanathancha. Paralyam Vaidyanathancha. Dakinyam Pima Shankaram. Dakinyam Pima Shankaram. Dakinyam Pima Shankaram. Setu Bandhe Tu Ramesham. Setu Bandhe Tu Ramesham. Setu Bandhe Tu Ramesham. Nagesham Darukavane. Nagesham Darukavane. Nagesham Darukavane. Varanasyan tu Vishvesham. Varanasyan tu Vishvesham. Varanasyan tu Vishvesham. Triyambakam Gautami Tarte. Triyambakam Gautami Tarte. Triyambakam Gautami Tarte. Himalaye tu Kedaram. Himalaye tu Kedaram. Himalaye tu Kedaram. Gushmeshan Shivalaye. Gushmeshan Shivalaye. Gushmeshan Shivalaye.
And now we continue with the special.
Let's wait a second on that. This Dvadashajyotirlingastotram is traditionally, I guess, recited after the Lingashtakam. And those of you who are very alert in listening to the Rudra Abhishek, which many of us have a chance to listen to with the Pandits, at the very end, after the what do you call the waving of the light? After the arti part, at the very tail end of the Rudra Abhishek, they sing this Lingashtakam, which you heard, and after the Lingashtakam, they very quickly say these 3-4 lines that you just repeated together, the Dvadasha, the names of the 12 Jyotirlingas and their locations, those verses. So those are there. So now you'll be alert to hear those and recognize them when you hear them next next time. The next thing is a very short description of Maharshi's plan for India, and it's called a Sankalpa, what he's intending, the way the movement should be ideally situated, ideally fulfilled in India. And that means Pandits doing all the things that they should be doing, all the enlivening the big groups of 8,000 and so forth. So Eike's going to describe all these things, and the highlight that is important for this evening is what are called Brahmananda Saraswati Nagars. Brahmananda Saraswati is the name of Gurudev's Maharshi's master Gurudev, and Nagar means city. So these are cities that are named after Gurudev, and there's 48 of them, 4 around each of the 12 Jyotirlingas. And then each one of those 48 cities is to have a group of 1,500 Pandits performing a Maharudra Abhishek. So let's listen to Eike. This is only about 4 minutes.
And now we continue with a special Sankalpa for India, land of the Veda. We have to construct Vedic university facilities for 4 groups of 8,000 Vedic Pandits each, in the north of India, in the south, in the east, and in the west, and the 5th group of 16,000 Vedic Pandits in the Brahmastan of India, the divine capital of Ram Raj, with Raja palaces and international guest houses. We have to build the 48 Brahmanand Saraswati Nagas at 48 locations, including the 12 Jyotirlingas, each Brahmanand Saraswati for 1,500 Vedic Pandits to perform 1 Atirudra Abhishek every day, and construct 500 smaller Brahmanand Saraswati Nagas of 150 Vedic Pandits in each of the 500 districts of India, performing 1 Maharudra Abhishek every day, and build for a group of 150 Pandits in each of the 52 Shakti Peeth, and for a group of 150 Pandits in each of the 21 Vishnu Peeth, and for a group of 150 Pandits in each of the Ashtavinayaks, and for a group of 150 Pandits in each of the 4 Surya temples, and build for a group of 50,000 Vedic Pandits to perform Laksh Chandi, and for a group of up to 50,000 Vedic Pandits to perform the Somayagyas. And then we have to complete the construction of the Maharshi Samadhi Smarak, including the 12 exhibition mandaps set in beautiful gardens, and construct a shining white marble temple with Yagya mandaps at Gurudev's birthplace, Gurudev Janmastali, and connected through a pilgrimage road to Ayodhya, and build the Ram Darbar, the administrative capital of Ram Raj in Ayodhya, with global parliament hall for 192 countries, and construct Gurudev's original Shankaracharya ashram in Allahabad and Kashi, and continue to build Maharshi Vidya Mandir schools and Mahila Dhyan Vidya Peeth schools and other educational facilities throughout India, and reconstruct all temples, tirthas, and ancient pilgrimage places of India, and build 108 ideal Vastu villages along the Ganga connecting Prayag with Kashi, and build the Ganga Tat capital 64 kilometers along the Ganga, enlivening the sacred places where ancient Vedic rishis had performed great tapas, and rebuild the ancient bridge of Ram Setu, at Rameshwaram between India and Sri Lanka, as constructed by Hanumanji, and reconstruct every state of India according to Mahari's master plan with an auspicious state capital at its Brahmastan, and build India Nagar, the new national capital of India, right in the center of the country. And finally, establish the global country of world peace as a fully sovereign country on a beautiful island with a magnificent palace for Maharaj, Adhiraj, Rajaram, global parliament buildings, embassies for 192 nations, and a royal mint distributing the global development currency Ram to permanently bless the world with invincibility, affluence, and world peace.
It's very inspiring. We have two more things we want to do tonight. One is, I think we'll listen to the Shiva Sahasranama for about 5 minutes, and then we'll conclude with our unity chart, which will bring together all the different pieces that we've discussed tonight into one wholeness.
Linga Shri Shivasahasranama Stotram. Om Rishaya Uchuhu Katham Devena Vaisuta Deva Devan Maheshwarat Sudarshanakyam Vailabdham Vaktumarhasi Vishnuna Suta Uvacha Devanamasurendranamabhavaccha Sudarunaha Sarveshameva Bhutanam Vinashakarano Mahane Te Deva Shakti Mushalai Sayakirnata Parvabhihi Prabhidyamanah Kuntaischa Dudruvurbhaya Vihvalah Parajitastada Deva Deva Deveshwaram Harim Pranemustam Sureshanam Shokasam Vignamanasah Tan Samikshyath Bhagavan Deva Deveshwaro Harihi Pranipatyasthitan Devanidam Vachanam Abravit Vatsah Kimiti Vaidevashtyutalankara Vikramah Samagatas Sasantapa Vaktumarhatha Suvratah Tasya Tadvacanam Shrutva Tatha Bhutas Surottamah Pranamyahuriyatha Vrittam Deva Devaya Vishnave Bhagavan Deva Devesha Vishno Jishno Janardana Danavaih Pidita Sarve Vayam Sharanamagata Tvameva Deva Devesha Gatirnah Purushottama Tvameva Paramatma Hitvam Pita Jagatamapi Tvameva Bharta Harta Cha Bhokta Data Janardana Hantumarhasi Tasmat Tvam Danavan Danavardana Daityascha Vaishnavir Brahmairaudrairyamyais Sudarunai Kuberaischaiva Saumyaischa Nairratyairvarunair Dridhai वायव्यैश्च तथाग्नेयैरैशान्यैर्वार्षिकैः शुभैः सौरैरौद्रैस्तथा भीमैः कम्पनैर्जृम्भणैर्दृढैः अवध्यावरलाभात्ते सर्वे वारिजलोचना सूर्यमण्डलसम्भूतं त्वदीयं चक्रमुद्यतम् कुण्ठितं हि दधीचेन च्यावनेन जगद्गुरो दण्डं शार्ङ्गं तवास्त्रं च लब्धं दैत्यैः प्रसादतः पुरा जलन्धरं हन्तु निर्मितं त्रिपुरारिणा रथाङ्गं सुषितं घोरं तेन तान् हन्तुमर्हसि तस्मात् तेन निहन्तव्यानान्यैः शस्त्रशतैरपि ततो निशम्य तेषां वैवचनं वारिजेक्षणः वाचस्पतिमुखानाः स हरिश्चक्रभृत् स्वयम् श्रीविष्णुरुवाच भो भो देवा महादेवं सर्वैर्देवैः सनातनैः सम्प्राप्य साम्प्रतं सर्वं करिष्यामि दिवौकसाम् देवा जलन्धरं हन्तुं निर्मितं हि पुरारिणा लब्ध्वा रथाङ्गं तेनैव निहत्य च महासुरान् सर्वान् धुन्धुमुखान् दैत्यानष्टषष्टिशतान् सुरान् स बान्धवान् क्षणादेव युष्मान् सन्तारयाम्यहम् सूत उवाच एवमुक्त्वा सुरश्रेष्ठान् सुरश्रेष्ठमनुस्मरन् सुरश्रेष्ठस्तदा श्रेष्ठं पूजयामास शङ्करम् लिङ्गं स्थाप्य यथा न्यायं हिमवच्छिखरे शुभे मेरुपर्वत
Jai Gurudev. So tonight we had sort of a different format, but I think it turned out really well, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And I forgot to mention, but really this was all thanks to Pat Hardigree and his desire to share the Shiva Puranas with us that this whole thing came about. And through that we got to hear the story of really devotion. That's what I got from it, the most subtle value of love, that unifying value. And through the listening to the Lingashtakam, the song which we hear in the Rudrabhishek, and reciting the Dvadashajyotirlingastotram together, we got to hear its connection to the connection of the Jyotir Lingas to the Rudrabhishek. And listening to Dr. Freund's wonderful rare translation of the Vasishtha Laingyam, we got to hear of that really, there are all these holy, sacred places around the world, but the holiest of all, tirthas, these sacred places, tirthas, is that transcendent which we experience within ourselves when we practice. And this is the holiest of all places. And then with Eike's talk, we got to hear of Marshi's grand vision for transforming these Jyotirlinga locations into centers for having thousands of Pandits to enliven that transcendent which is especially available in these locations. And then of course with the Shiva Sahasranama, we got to experience those sounds that form of Shiva, of the self. So let's go to the unity chart. So, number 1, the thought of Rameshwaram, one of the 12 Jyotirlingas, came to Maharshi in his deep silence in the Himalayas and drew Maharshi out into the world. This is the superficial understanding, but if we go deeper, then a deeper understanding is that the 12 Jyotirlingas are centers of organizing power for the administration of the collective consciousness of all the nations of the world. The transcendental consciousness perspective is that Shiva is peace, the transcendental fourth state of consciousness. Number 4, the dynamism of the transcendent is represented by an infinite, unending column of light, the Jyotir Linga. 5, wholeness moving within itself. The Sankalpa for India is to fully enliven all the centers of administration of world consciousness with the power of yogic flying and yajnas, so that around the world, life is lived in fulfillment generation after generation. Thank you very much. Jai Gurudev.